The French far right is calling on people to take to the streets over the weekend to protest against a ruling which bans Marine Le Pen from running for public office for 5 years. On Monday, the National Rally leader was found guilty of embezzling EU public funds. She's promised to appeal the ruling, which she's described as politicized and intended to block her from securing the presidency in 2027. We can now bring in France 24's Clovis Casali, who's been covering the story for us. Clovis, what has Marine Le Pen been saying 24 hours after this ruling came out?
Let's not underestimate what is happening here and the implications for the coming days. Marine Le Pen, her party, remain defiant. They say they are not guilty, and this is a politically motivated move. They're calling for all their supporters to take to the streets this weekend. Not violently, they say. They're handing out leaflets, giving out posters. They are trying to mobilize their supporters. Marine Le Pen saying that judges are trying to steal the result, the next presidential election. She was set to run. According to recent polls, she was in a very good position, not necessarily to win, but at least finish first in the first round. And then who knows? It's a long time away, 2027. Many things could have happened, but she was very, very high in the polls. This morning, her lieutenants all took to French radio stations for the morning shows to defend her, to say this is not over, we remain defiant, and we will lodge an appeal. They're hoping that possibly she is allowed last minute to run in the presidential election, but it does seem very complicated. Jordan Bardella, the man who's tipped to run for the National Rally if she can't, he's the president of the party, very young, 29. He says democracy has been killed today due to this court's decision. This afternoon, questions to the government. That man, Jean-Christophe Tanguy, we just saw, will be asking a question to the French Prime Minister. Several other key figures of the party, very close to Marine Le Pen. All of the questions will be about this trial and will be about the fate of Marine Le Pen. Expect a heated session at the National Assembly. Worth pointing out, many politicians have spoken out. Some very big surprise. Jean-Luc Mélenchon, radical left leader, saying a court should not decide who can run. It should be down to the French people. That's the radical left leader. You've got the Prime Minister himself, François Bayrou, saying he's a bit surprised. Troublé is the word. Surprised. He doesn't understand this decision. Not necessarily the best sign when you know that in France, the judiciary is independent. Then you've got the Socialist Party saying respect the judiciary, respect the court's decision. Before this questions to government at the National Assembly, they will start very soon. Marine Le Pen at the National Assembly addressed her MPs. Let's take a listen to what she says. She believes the fight's not over.
Le système a sorti la bombe nucléaire.
The system has got out the nuclear bomb, and it's obviously using this powerful weapon against us because we're about to win the elections. Things are extremely clear, and we won't let them get away with it. And not just to defend ourselves, but to defend the French people, who are allowed to vote for whoever they want to, and to defend the country, which is in the process of wavering on its principles, its values. And all those who only talk about the rule of law are generally the first to violate the rule of law. They stole the parliamentary elections from us with outrageous manoeuvring. And let's be very clear, they're not going to steal the presidential elections from the French people.
Clovis, what's the international reaction been to this verdict which we got out of Paris yesterday?
Many reactions abroad, starting in Europe. Hungary's Viktor Orban saying, I am Marine, revisiting the slogan made famous during the Paris, the Charlie Hebdo attacks. And then, of course, that's the Je suis Marine by Viktor Orban. In Italy, Giorgia Meloni saying, no one who cares about democracy can be pleased by a sentence that strikes the leader of a big party and deprives millions of citizens of representation. Outside of Europe, the first to react were the Russians, the Kremlin, saying once again it's the sign that European democracies are not respecting democratic values. That was Dmitry Peskov, you can see just behind me. Elon Musk in the US speaking out, saying the radical left, when the radical left can't win via democratic vote, they abuse the legal system to jail their opponents. Worth pointing out for the Russians have been seeking for years to destroy Europe, if you will, from the inside, sponsoring, financing anti-European parties. We did a report a few years ago, around 10 years ago, about how the National Rally, at the time the National Front of Marine Le Pen, had got a loan from a Russian bank.
Yeah.
And the Russian vice president of the Duma was at the event here in France. Parenthesis closed. Donald Trump, US president, reacting himself. Let's take a listen.
That's a big deal. That's a very big deal. I know all about it, and a lot of people thought she wasn't going to be convicted of anything, and I don't know if it means conviction, but she was banned for running for 5 years, and she's the leading candidate. That sounds like this country. That sounds very much like this country.
What is Donald Trump hinting to, more or less in a subtle way? Well, to his own personal case in the US, with, of course, Donald Trump taken to court several times. What he's saying there is, in France, the judges want to destroy the career of Marine Le Pen, just like judges in the US tried to destroy mine.
We'll see what more reactions trickle in from the National Assembly this afternoon. Thank you very much for that, Clovis Casali there.